Vaheguru Ji Ka Khalsa, Vaheguru Ji Ki Fateh. I'd like to welcome everyone to this evening's Katha with Bhai Harman Singh from Basics of Sikhi. Bhai Harman Singh has been blessed to be able to spend his childhood learning from various saints and scholars. He regularly organized Sikh youth camps and events and played a big role in teaching the Sikhi community. Harman Singh was an executive board member for the Seva Group Sikh Youth Calgary and has successfully run multiple campaigns raising money for cancer and poverty. In 2012, Harman Singh founded Team Khalsa Training to strive to instill discipline and a healthy, active lifestyle within the Sikh community. He is most known as an educator and speaker for the educational charity Basics of Sikhi and head of their North America team. And with that, Faji, the floor is all yours.
ਠੀਕ ਹੈ ਜੀ ਧੰਨਵਾਦ ਸੋ ਮਹਾਰਾਜ ਦੀ ਕਿਰਪਾ ਨਾਲ before we begin ਆਪਾਂ ਥੋੜਾ ਗੁਰੂ ਸਾਹਿਬ ਦਾ ਮੰਗਲ ਪੜ੍ਹ ਲਈਏ so let's focus our surtiyas, focus our consciousness together so that we can do this ardas in front of Maharaj. ਵਾਹਿਗੁਰੂ 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 ਸਾਹਿਬ ਜੀ ਡੰਡੌਤ ਬੰਦਨ ਅਨਕ ਬਾਰ ਸਰਬ ਕਲਾ ਸਮਰੱਥ ਡੋਲਨ ਤੇ ਰਾਖੋ ਪ੍ਰਭੂ ਨਾਨਕ ਦੇ ਕਰ ਹੱਥ ਕਹਾਂ ਬੁੱਧ ਪ੍ਰਭ ਤੁਛ ਹਮਾਰੀ ਬਰਨ ਸਕੈ ਮਹਿਮਾ ਜੋ ਤਿਹਾਰੀ ਹਮ ਨ ਸਕਤ ਕਰ ਸਿਫਤ ਤੁਮਾਰੀ ਆਪ ਲਿਹੋ ਤੁਮ ਕਥਾ ਸੁਧਾਰੀ ਵਾਹਿਗੁਰੂ ਜੀ ਕਾ ਖਾਲਸਾ ਵਾਹਿਗੁਰੂ ਜੀ ਕੀ ਫਤਿਹ. So with Guru Sahib's Kirpa, Sache Pacha, we're gathered here to be able to discuss, our various topics. And Bhai Sabji, they mentioned to me before to discuss along the lines of growing that yearning towards Paramatma, having that love towards our Guru, and what the whole purpose of this of Sikhi is in general. So along those lines, we'll be doing our vichar. And today is a little bit of a different scenario or circumstance for me because I can't see any of you. So I don't know who you are and what you look like. But nonetheless, forgive me if I am not able to cater my words directly to you individually because I cannot see you, obviously. But in a general sense, Maradi Kirpanal, let's try to discuss this. One of the things that first comes into my mind whenever we do discuss love for God, love for Paramatma, and what that means as a Sikh, we can't skip this one entity in our history, which is Bhai Nandalal Ji. Whenever I hear the word love, ishq, mohabbat, pyar, whenever you hear these words, the first person that comes to my mind is Bhai Sahib Bhai Nandalal Ji. They are the definition of what love means. And their ghazlan, their writings, their songs that they sang for Guru Gobind Singh Ji Sache Pacha, they're absolutely beautiful. Even though they are in Farsi, they are written in Indo-Farsi. And so they'll be different to what you normally are used to when you do listen to Gurbani, when you do listen to Kirtan, because some of their words, again, like I said, you're not accustomed to them. But Firvi, before we go on to introducing a ghazal that I wanted to share with you, I wanted to describe कि असल विच ना सिक्खी दी मार्ग दे विच प्रेम दी महत्ता की है. What is the importance of this aspect of love and this yearning aspect in towards your journey with your Guru? Until there is importance placed upon the moon by a moon bird, the moon bird does not recognize or have that yearning desire. And if that yearning desire is not there, then that contentment upon union can never be met. So let me make that easier to understand. Until you desire something, you won't have that contentment and that bliss of being united with it. For example, if you're not hungry, you can have food placed in front of you, but that means nothing to you because you're not hungry. Jinna chir bhukh nahi lagi, until you are hungry, you're absolutely starving. The food comes in front of you, that bliss or that contentment of that union or your desire being fulfilled is now in front of you. Therefore, you attain bliss. Thanu anand milda. In this life of ours, we chase after many things, whether it be people's praise, whether it be, worldly aspects, house, car, pressures from the world pushing you to get a new degree, getting a new job, getting married, whatever it might be. In some sort of way, we're surrounded by desires. That's what we live for, in one sense. But when our desires, we realize that no matter how much we chase after them, they'll never ever be quenched. They'll never be fulfilled. Because after every desire, you have another desire. And let me give you this example. Let's say, your mom brings out a nice plate of pasta. Pasta aa gaya. You eat it because you were hungry all day. You went to the gym, hopefully. You went to the gym. You had a long walk. You missed lunch for some reason because you were busy at school doing your homework, whatever it might be. And now you come home, your mom puts this nice plate of pasta, or whatever you like, right? Maybe you like sag, maybe you like shai paneer, whatever it might be. Now I'm starting to get your mouth water. And now it's placed in front of you, and you begin eating. You indulge in it. You enjoy it. The thing that you've been waiting for all day, because maybe your mom mentioned to you in the morning that I'm going to make your favorite food tonight. Teri favorite dish banaungi sham na. So you come and you eat, you indulge. Now once you've eaten this, you're content on the main course of the meal, but there's still something missing. You need something to drink now. A new desire has now welled up inside of you. You're thirsty. You weren't thirsty before, but now you're thirsty. So what do you want? Do you want a milkshake? Do you want water? Do you want milk? Do you want juice? What do you wish for? So you chase after that. Now after you drink that, you have another desire. Now you're full, and then maybe you want some sort of sweet. You want some sort of fudge or ice cream or dessert or jalebiya. Who knows what you want? But after that desire, now you have another desire because you're sleepy. Now you have a desire to sleep, or you have a desire to watch TV. These desires will never ever be quenched. $1, $5, $100, $1,000,000. You've heard these analogies before. But that true desire, if you begin to chase it externally, you'll be left at a loss. ਆਪਾਂ ਇੱਕ ਸ਼ਬਦ ਵਰਤਦੇ ਹਾਂ. In Punjabi we use this word called nirasa, meaning no matter how many desires you chase after, you're left niras. You're left unfulfilled. You're left in a state of still a wavering mind. But how do you take that mind of yours that's been chasing everything externally for it to become completely still and in that state of union, in a constant state of union, where a new desire never wells up, and you could be doing whatever in the world. You could be walking, talking with your friends, but you're always in that state of bliss internally. That becomes alive or becomes manifested when that true origin of bliss from inside of you becomes connected to your mind. Or your mind, you can say, stops going externally and begins to go inwardly. And its desires are not external, they're internal now. Now that is a state that cannot be achieved unless there is that formula of love placed inside of the equation. Or else, just like I mentioned in the beginning, the moon bird will not look towards the moon unless there's love for that moon. But of course, a moon bird loves the moon. When the moon comes out, the moon bird begins to cry, begins to cry out and express its love towards the moon. The sunbird does it for the sun. The bumblebee does it towards the lotus flower. In this way, a Gursikh is meant to do that love or have that expression towards their Guru. Now that expression comes in many, many different ways. I know we're discussing along the maybe topics of this month of maybe Sikh heritage and along these things, and when we really discuss heritage, it's a big topic. Is it external? Is it internal? Is it a communal thing? Is it an individual thing? Is it a societal thing? ਇਹ ਸਾਰੀਆਂ ਚੀਜ਼ਾਂ ਉਦੋਂ ਸਮਝ ਆਉਣਗੀਆਂ when you begin from the origin. Why is this love even being expressed? In what ways does this love expressed externally, internally, through your words. In fact, true love is that when the lover becomes like that thing which is loving. A child that loves their mentor takes on all the qualities of their mentor. A child that loves their parents takes on the qualities of their parents. A man or a woman that loves their spouse takes on qualities of their spouse. In this way, the bumblebee chasing after the lotus flower, it gets so indulged. These are examples used in our text, by the way. By Gurdas ji ਅਤੇ Gurbani ਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ, these examples are being used. That's why I'm using these examples of the bumblebee. The bumblebee sits on top of the lotus flower, and it sits there all day. And if you know a lotus flower, when the sun sets, the petals close. But that bumblebee was so engrossed in that nectar of the lotus flower that the bumblebee was willing to let go of its life in order to stay remained in that indulgence of that nectar, of that amrit. In another way, another example being used, a firefly loves the fire so much that the firefly flies into the fire knowing that it's going to burn. But that love and that intoxication is so great that it loses itself in order to become one with its love. That's the key. It loses itself. ਆਪਣੇ ਆਪ ਨੂੰ ਗਵਾ ਜਾਂਦੇ ਆ. They lose their ego. They lose their own identity. They lose their body. Lose everything that they held themselves onto. ਸਾਰਾ ਕੁਝ ਗਵਾ ਲਿਆ, just in order to become the one with the thing that they loved. There's a word that we use in Punjabi, and that word is prem. Now, a really good twist to put on this word of prem, meaning love, is if you take the word and you split it apart, and you can make it mean pare main. Pare means away, main means me. ਜਦੋਂ ਮੇਰੀ ਮੈਂ ਪਰੇ ਹੋਗੀ, that's what true love is. When your ego is left aside, when there's no you left anymore, that's what true love is. If there is ego inside of love, your relationships will fall apart. Your relationships with your family, your mentors, even within yourselves, everything will fall apart. Je prem nahi hai. We don't realize this, but our mind is more controlled by emotion than it is by logic. Even though you might say to yourself, I'm the most logical person, I'm a mathematician and all this, even you are driven by emotion. You look at the stories of Romeo and Juliet. You look at this. Why do you eat something? You may or may not look at it logically. You still have desires. You're welled up through this love. Whether it's of fitness and you're able to sacrifice your desire of your desserts for your desire of your fitness, but there's still an emotional reason there to feel satisfied, to feel content, to feel full. This emotional mind of ours, when it gets lost in that love, that's when it truly becomes free. Now, people might say, well, this path of Sikhi that we walk, we see these expressions of love, but isn't love supposed to be free? Why do you, I'm just going to share physical things. Why do you express it physically? Why do you wear the star and why do you choose not to eat a certain way? Why do you choose to dress a certain way? Why do you choose to speak a certain way? Why do you choose to interact and discipline yourself in a certain way? Some people might call these bondages, but in fact, this thing that we call rehet, this thing that we call a code of conduct, this thing that we call a way of life, a path to walk, they're not bondages. These are disciplines that free you from all bondages in the world. Now that's a quick twist that you might not have heard before. These are, let me repeat that, these are disciplines. These are codes of conduct that free you from all bondages in the world. A person that is driven by lust is stuck in the bondage of his own mind. A person that is driven by or stuck into this peer pressure of the world, of pleasing their friends, pleasing their family, that bondage is making that person stuck in the world, or holding that person down into the ground and not letting them be free. ਇਹ ਜਿਹੜੀ ਪ੍ਰੇਮ ਹੈ, this love, when expressed, it frees you from everything else, because, like I said, the lover wants to become one with the one that it loves. It becomes one with the love itself. So मैं Bhai Nand Lal ji I want to express this through the very first ghazal of Bhai Nand Lal ji. I'll read it out to you. and then I'll explain it to you. But I want you to listen carefully at the beautiful words that by Nandalal Ji, the way they express it. Even though you might not understand what it means right away, but fear we just listen into it. And then I'll explain a Sakhi that has to do with Bhai Nandalal Ji as well, about who they were. Bhai Nandalal Ji, they were a person from Agra, a great poet who came into the darbar of Aurangzeb. When Aurangzeb, the emperor, said that you, a great poet like this, at this level, their caliber, we have to cut their head. We have to kill him, or he has to convert into being a Muslim. Bhai Nandalal Ji said, I'm not going to be able to do that. So he escaped, traveled all the way from there, all the way to Anandpur Sahib. And on this way, writing these beautiful songs and poems about Guru Gobind Singh Ji. Arrives at Guru Gobind Singh Ji Sache Paatshah's Darbar. They're accepted there. They remain the head of Langar and the head of the Kavis. But let me recite their first ghazal to you. So tusi dhyan nal sunna, listen a little bit carefully. हवाए बंदगी आवुर्द दर वजूद मरा व गरने जों के चुनी आमदन नबूद मरा खुश अस्त उम्र के दार दी याद बगुजरद वरना चे हासिल अस्त अजी गुम्बजे कबूद मरा दर आजमा के न्याई बयाद में मीरम बगैर याद तो जीस्तन चे सूद मरा फिदास्त जानो दिले मन बखाके मुकद्दमे पाक हर आंख से के बसुए तो रह नमूद मरा नबूद हेच निशाहां जे आसमानो ज़मी के शौके रुए तो आवुर्द दर सूद मरा बगैर याद तो गोया नमे तवानम जीस्त बसुए दोस्त रिहाई देहंद सूद मरा. The words of Bhai Nandalal Ji. Basically the first line they're saying, Hawaye bandagi avurd dar wujud mara. The reason why I came into this world is to do bandagi, to do bhakti. Or else what other purpose would I have to come into this world? There is no other purpose. The only purpose of coming into this world is this bhakti. Vagarne zon ki chuni amdan namood ran nahi to main janam maran di gate vich naam aunda, or else I'd rather die. That is discipline of the mind to say that there is no second choice. There is no third. There is no fourth. There is no other way. I'm on this one path. And in an unwavering state of mind, I'm going straight to my Guru. I'm going straight to my master. So even if we look into this, the first line, it defines what love is. Completely desireless and having no other desire than that one desire. And if you look at the whole gist of Sikhi, from Bhai Mardana Ji, all the way to Bhai Nandalal Ji, whether you look at Bhai Gurdas Ji, you can look at great Gur Sikhs like we have Bhai Mansukh Ji, Bhai Bhagirath Ji. We have people during the Gur Sikhs during the time of Guru Arjan Dev Ji, Guru Har Gobind Sahib Sache Paatshah. Throughout this entire time, even modern day, today, there's one theme. And that one theme can be defined by this. I have no other desire to come into this world other than that love of my Guru. Now I'm going to go a little bit into a spiritual sense with this. So bear with me. Guru Gobind Singh Ji Sache Paatshah, the 10th Guru, when great soldiers, great saints were murdered and they're lying in the battlefield after battling for righteousness, as they lay there, Guru Gobind Singh Ji Sache Paatshah takes their head, puts it on their lap and asks them, what do you wish for? You wish for liberation, I will grant it to you. You wish for everlasting peace. You wish for a new life. You wish for, houses, cars, whatever. I'm sure they're not going to be asking for houses and cars after sacrificing themselves on the battlefield. But they said, ask for whatever you wish. Jo mangada mang. And the love of these Gur Sikhs was this, that, oh my Guru, I've given everything to you. Sara kush main thode vaste var ditta hai. There's only one desire that we have. We've experienced such a bliss, fighting for you, dying for you, experiencing this flavor, this amrit of yours, this ras of yours. Our desire is not to be free and be liberated from this world, because we obtain more bliss while serving you, doing your bhakti. They say, Guru Sahib, do this blessing upon us, that may I be born into a Gursikh household again. May I be blessed to be able to do your service, to do your seva. May I be blessed to be able to do your bhakti, to fight for you, to become shaheed again and die on this battlefield again for you. Because these wounds that I have on this battlefield, they're not painful for me. I experiencing the ecstasy of God's name through every wound, every cut, every blood cell of mine. Let me experience this again. May I be born again. And once I sacrifice myself at that point, may I be born again, and so I can die for you again. May I be born again, so I can die for you again. Again and again, me living in this into this cycle. As long as you are with me, oh my Guru, oh my beloved, that's bliss for me. Even by Nandalal ji, they're saying, the reason why I came into this world with a purpose. That only purpose was to do bhakti for you, O my Guru. There's no other purpose. That Gursikh laying in the battlefield says, Sache Pacha, Rajana chao, Muktana chao, Manpreet charan kamalare. I only desire the love of your lotus feet, the love of your name. That's all I desire. Bless me with that. So now when you put that into perspective, there's been many great saints and beings. We're talking about Sikh heritage, right? Sorry, Sikh heritage isn't your Dastar's identity, or we call ourselves Sikh. It's another faith, and we're the fifth largest religion coming from India. Yeah, these are good stats to tell people. But if you're a Sikh listening to this, don't limit yourself to that. There's much more. There's been our Sikh heritage there's been many saints, many shaheeds that have been doing this meditation and bhakti and sacrifice for who knows how many lifetimes. And they themselves are coming into this world with one purpose. Aap jape, avare naam japave. To recite that name of God and to inspire others to recite that name of God. They sacrifice themselves and they come into the cycle again. On this spiritual sense of the purpose of why we come into this world, that's where our whole heritage is standing. That's where our whole background is. To see Atam Srupa, you're not limited to your body. In fact, you're not your body at all. You are something that came into this world with a purpose. Your body is a tool, a vessel that you're using in order to obtain. It's like, you don't sit in your car and say, I am the Toyota Corolla now. You don't sit in your car and say, I am my Ford Mustang. And someone says, well, no, you're not. You could get out of the car and you say, I can't get out of my car because I am the Ford. You don't say that, auntie. Even the police officer pulling you over, they'll say, oh, banda pagal ho gaya. The person's gone insane. In fact, that's what our body is. You don't come into this body and say, I am a 16-year-old girl and you can't tell me otherwise. I'm a 15-year-old boy and you can't tell me otherwise. I'm a 42-year-old man and you can't tell me otherwise. No, my beloveds, my brothers and sisters, this is our vessel, the tool that you use. Now, of course, you take care of it. There's a discipline for that. Now, don't limit what Sikhi is to just the disciplines to taking care of your body. That's just maintenance. Just leave that to maintenance. The maintenance is necessary if you're going to drive your car somewhere. You got to do your oil changes in the same way you got to take care of your body. You have to do your bhakti, do your nityanem, and all of these things. They're there. The disciplines are there. But the essence of this, of all of that, the pinnacle, is to lose yourself while having that union with the one you love. Prem. Prem hai, jithe main nahi hai. Now, ਉਹਦੇ ਵਿੱਚੋਂ ਦਸਤਾਰ ਨਿਕਲਦੀ ਹੈ, ਉਹਦੇ ਵਿੱਚੋਂ ਕਿਰਪਾਨ ਨਿਕਲਦੀ ਹੈ, ਉਹਦੇ ਵਿੱਚੋਂ ਸ਼ਬਦ ਗੁਰਬਾਣੀ ਨਿਕਲਦੀ ਹੈ, reading Nityanem, all these things. So again, if you're beginning this path, you're going to start from the physical attributes. Sure, from the physical, it affects your internal, because everything else that you do physically affects you internally. Everything, the people that you talk to, the people, your friends you hang out with, the TV shows that you watch, the things you read, everything. So, stop following those types of people on Instagram. You can follow Basics of Sikhi instead. Just throw my plug in there. And, listen to Katha, listen to Kirtan, the things that you listen to, the songs you listen to, they make up who you are internally. And that's going to reflect back again on externally. So it's external to internal, from internal to external. Therefore, you cannot just say Sikhi is on the inside and I can do whatever I want on the outside. No. Because that's not how the rest of your mind works for any other instance. Sikhi is not a belief system. Sikhi is not a set of rules that you think, oh, I align with those and I kind of believe in those. That's cool. Anybody can believe in those set of rules. Someone believes in forgiveness and compassion and love and daya. All of those things. We want to spread those around the world as much as we can. That's what we're spreading, these concepts and these that prem of dharm. We're spreading dharm. But Sikhi is the relationship between the Sikh and the Guru. Hawai bandagiya burd dar vajood mara wagarna zon ki chuni amdan nabood mara mere is dunya vich aun da hor koi karan nahi si. I have no other purpose to coming into this world. Then they say, blessed is that age, khush ast umar, blessed is that umar, that age in which the person is engrossed in that simran, in that love. Now somebody might say, I'm 13 years old, I don't need to do bhakti. Somebody say, oh, I'm already 80 years old and I'm too old to go and follow Sikhi and pick up a kirpan. I mean, we have 80-year-old, 70-year-old bujurgs that have given Shahidi, Baba Deep Singh Ji and Bhai Mani Singh Ji. Great, that is our heritage. They wrote texts, they knew language, they're scholars, they're poets, they're saints, and they're martyrs. That is our itihas. Itihas. Now, when we talk about that love in itself, it resonates through the blood of the shaheeds. It runs through your veins. And when you listen to that history of these saints, of these great warriors, that inspires you. That inspiration wells up that love, and it gives you this sense of wisdom to differentiate what is false and what is true in the world. Then doesn't it put you into a different mode when you listen to the story of Baba Deep Singh Ji, who spent their entire life fighting. Then when their head is severed from their head, their spiritual energy was so strong, it allowed them to continue fighting with the head on the palm of their hand, with a khanda in their hand, a double-edged sword, to continue fighting. Or by Mani Singh Ji, when from every joint of their body is being cut, yet they're still reciting God's name. It puts you into perspective. Well, I'm only concerned because my friend called me, fat. My friend called me ugly, so now I'm all depressed about it. Anji? No, I'm not saying, bullying is okay. I'm not undermining that at all. But what I'm saying is it puts you into a different state of mind when you listen to that history. When you listen to the love that Bhai Mardana Ji had to Guru Nanak Dev Ji. And when Bhai Mardana Ji, they looked at the eyes of Guru Nanak Dev Ji engrossed in that love of Naam. And Bhai Mardana Ji says, well, I'm trying to do something. I've been singing, I'm a Marasi. I've been singing for many households. I've been singing at many weddings. I've been singing at so many, when children are born, at family events. That's what my job is. That's what I've been doing. But this experience that you're having by sitting and closing your eyes and the way that you sing, that singing is something different. Bless me with the ability to sing like that. That experience, that desire, that when just by hearing that history of Bhai Mardana Ji, it puts you into a different state of mind. And that's what listening to this itihas is. Sun sakhi man jap pyar. Two fundamental rules that I would give to you to grow your love for your Guru, to advance the Sikhi of yours, is two things. Very simple. Number one is listen to your history. If you do not know your history, minimum, if you call yourself a Sikh, and you do not know the detailed history from Guru Nanak Dev Ji, all the way to Guru Gobind Singh Ji, minimum, that's the bare minimum. It's like, I share this example a lot. If I come up to you and I say, hey, fall in love with Bob, Bob nal prem karo, and you say, who's Bob? At least I told you his name, right? You say, Bob, okay, what does Bob do? No, I can't tell you that. You can't know that. Just give your head for Bob. Love Bob in a way, just like a moth, goes into a fire, just like a bumblebee goes into a lotus flower. You'll be like, that doesn't help me. That doesn't mean anything to me. Because I don't know who Bob is. Why should I love Bob? Right? Especially in this era when everybody's against arranged marriages. Right? This should make sense to you. If you don't know anything about the person, ਤੁਸੀਂ ਕਿੱਦਾਂ ਪ੍ਰੇਮ ਪਾਉਂਗੇ? Learn about Guru Nanak Dev Ji. Learn about Guru Gobind Singh Ji. Detailed history, not your children's bedtime stories. Don't limit it to your Wikipedias and Sikh Wikipedias. Those are great resources, but are not enough to have you fall in love. Listen to Katha. Those of you that listen to your high school lectures, your political speeches, you guys are willing to listen to 2 hours of speeches from Biden and Trump and all these guys, but ਤੁਸੀਂ ਕਥਾ ਨਹੀਂ ਸੁਣ ਸਕਦੇ. You can't listen to the meanings of Japji Sahib. You can't listen to the history, the detailed history from Guru Nanak Dev Ji to Guru Gobind Singh Ji. Then your love will not be able to grow and reach its full potential. Listen to the minimum, bare minimum is the detailed history from Guru Nanak Dev Ji to Guru Gobind Singh Ji. And if not, that's the minimum. What you should really be knowing is the history from all the way from Satjug, from the times of Hans Avatar, from the times of Tru and Prahlad. Of when we read in Gurbani, Har Jug Jug Bhagto Paya, Paj Rakhda Aya Ram Raje. We talk about Tru and Prahlad, these great saints, these great children, age 5, doing this bhakti. That's part of Sikh heritage as well. From that age all the way until today, modern times. Modern times, including what's happening to our shaheeds today. What happened 10 years ago, 15 years ago, 30 years ago, 60 years ago. The great saints that walked upon this earth. That is part of our atiyas and our heritage as well. So every Sikh, if you say you want to grow your love, is sun sakhi man jap pyar. That's where it begins from. And number 2, tina dekh man chao uthanda. Hon kad pai gun dasa. I look upon these great saints and these great Gursikhs. By looking upon one, love wells up inside of me. Then I look upon the next. More, that one's even better than the one before. Not doing comparisons, but how this love grows. That person has another quality. And more love. There's another quality. More love. And when you spend time with the saints and the Gursikhs, by sitting beside them, I mean, virtually and stuff is cool. But actually when you spend time with a saint or a Gursikh, you see how they walk, they talk, they interact. Again, everyone's filled with faults, so don't just find out your 1% fault and say, haha, I found a fault and now I can go and expose the person. Just don't do that. Look at the attributes, fall in love with those attributes, and you won't even realize that the smell of the sandalwood, it's an analogy, the smell of a sandalwood tree is now coming from you as well. You're being affected by the Gursikhs that are the sandalwood tree, and you're the grass, you're the dirt that's now been affected. You smell this in the same way, you resonate there, you radiate in the same way. So that age is blessed. Other than that, in this world, nothing else, to Pai Nandalaji, they say nothing else pleases me. Every breath of mine, I want to live in that love. That jivan, that jaan, that spirit or that energy inside of myself only is fruitful if I spend it in doing the simran or the bandagi, the bhakti of my guru. Or else everything else goes in vain for me. Basically, in this way, I'm not going to go into the depths and translating it to the rest of Bhai Nandlal Ji's ghazal, but the first 2 lines in itself, Hawai bandagi avur darvazun mala, that in itself is enough to help us express what that true love really means. Now, I want to share this one sakhi of Bhai Nandlal Ji, of what, not only did they write it, but in the ways they expressed it in the relationship between a guru and a Sikh. One day, Bhai Nandlal Ji, remember, they were the head of the langar because they had so much nimrata. They were head of the kitchen. You wouldn't expect that. But they were the head of the kitchen. They made all the langar. They cleaned the dishes with their own hands. And this Bhai Nandalal Ji was also the head Kavi out of the 52 poets of the Darbar of Guru Gobind Singh Ji Sache Pacha. The head Kavi was Bhai Nandalal Ji. Bhai Nandalal Ji is that person that emperors from around the lands were trying to capture him. That's how great he was. One day, and I should tell you that Bhai Nandalal Ji used to stand outside the window of, when we hear these stories of Rapunzel growing up? Like I grew up here in Canada and we all heard about, oh, Rapunzel, Rapunzel, let down your hair. And we heard these stories, but in fact, it wasn't Rapunzel that, I'm sure that's a story and I don't know if it was a real story or not. But a true story is, Bhai Nandalal Ji used to stand at the bottom and look up towards Guru Gobind Singh Ji Sache Pacha's window, and they used to call out every night and say, Sache Pacha, I want to sell my heart to you. Take my heart away. Mera dil le lo. Take my heart. That's the love that Bhai Nandalal Ji, just like the moon bird, or doesn't sleep at night and cries out to the moon. Bahabiha preo preo kare jal nid prem pyar. We read in Gurbani. Bhai Nandalal Ji used to cry out in towards the window of Guru Gobind Singh Ji every night, and he used to say, take my heart away, take my heart away. Wouldn't sleep at night. Bhai Nandalal Ji, one day they saw that Guru Gobind Singh Ji Sache Pacha, they would purposely leave a few burkiyan left over. They had a few after they would eat roti, after they would eat their food. They would purposely leave a few leftovers. And those leftovers would be taken across to where Guru Gobind Singh Ji, they had a war dog, because they were in a very king-like a military setting. So they had a war dog, and the food would be taken to that dog, and the dog would eat those leftovers. Bhai Nandalal Ji thought to themselves, and when you hear this story, you're going to be thinking, well, Bhai Nandalal Ji has so much humility, so much love. Bhai Nandalal Ji thought to themselves, well, the dog is being blessed. I'm also Guru Gobind Singh Ji's dog. I'm the dog of Guru Gobind Singh Ji as well. Now, normally a great scholar or a great saint wouldn't be saying this, but they're saying, I'm a dog. I'm nothing. Wouldn't it be great if I was blessed with the leftovers of Guru Gobind Singh Ji as well? How many blessings are in every morsel of that food? I'd be blessed. That's my entire life's desire, to be able to eat the leftovers of Guru Sahib, the incarnation of God, of Akal Purkh in this world. So after many days, they're witnessing this food being taken. One day they couldn't help themselves, but they couldn't speak out of their words as well. The love is so great, it's welled up, and it's clogged their words. They don't know what to say, and they don't know how to ask. And this is what sometimes love is. It's so strong that kade shabd nahi nikalda. So Bhai Nandalal Ji goes and lays down beside that dog in the dirt. Lays down beside the dog, watches the food being brought across right in front of their eyes to the dog of Guru Gobind Singh Ji. But they're not asked. So they wait there for days and days. Still no food is being placed into the mouth of Bhai Nandalal Ji. One day Bhai Nandalal Ji couldn't bear it anymore. They go to Guru Gobind Singh Ji. They lay down and say, Guru Sahib Sache Pacha, oh my beloved Guru, can you please bless me with just a morsel of this food, just one little bit, one little bite. Place it into the mouth of this dog as well, because you're placing it into the mouth of that dog. But I'm a dog as well. And can you please bless this dog as well? Now the Guru knows how to destroy the ego. This is where we say, I want to lose my ego, but you saying to yourself, well, my heart is clean and I have no ego. You saying it to yourself doesn't mean anything, because your own ego is telling yourself that I'm clean, that I have no ego. See how it doesn't work that way? It's like I'm standing in front of a mirror and I can tell myself all I want. I'm the best person in the world, but does that really mean anything? Your ego, is a wall that's separating you from Waheguru. It's the wall of separation, and that cannot be destroyed by yourself. Your mind exists because of it. Your mind is ingrained because of that. Little voice inside of your head is ingrained in that ego, so it doesn't want to die. It doesn't want to lose itself. So it can't turn that way. When we speak about spiritual terms, your mind does not have the ability to be able to look inwardly, to be able to see that true form of God, because it's blocked by the wall of ego. So what happens is there needs to be that external Guru that destroys that ego. That's why Guru Sahib came into this world. Guru Nanak Dev Ji, Guru Gobind Singh Ji, the same form. God incarnates into this world in order to bless you with that naam and the blessing to be able to destroy that ego. But the guru knows, the Sikh doesn't know, right? It's like you try to teach your math teacher, well, this is how the formula works, and the teacher will say, wait, I have a PhD in this. Don't try to tell me how this works. Just listen to my instructions and you'll get it, right? In the same way, maybe again, that's a worldly example, but not 100% of it correlates back to a spiritual example of the great guru. So the guru knows on what to say and how much is needed. Even by yelling, the guru is only doing a blessing upon the Sikh. Even if life might get difficult, you might look at this and say, well, I've done this for the guru, but why doesn't the guru bless me back? Look at this analogy or the story by Nandalalji. Nandalalji says, Guru Sahib, I am your dog. Can you please bless a morsel of food into the mouth of this dog as well? Guru Sahib Sache Pacha says, O Pai Nandalalla, how did you consider yourself equivalent to my dog? First go and do seva of my dog. Go serve my dog. Become equivalent to my dog and then come talk to me. You're not even close to the padavi of my dog. And now you might be thinking, what? Why was Guru Sahib Sache Pacha so harsh to somebody that already has so much humility? But the Guru knows how to destroy the ego. Maybe there was one little speck left, and Guru Sahib absolutely destroyed that. And that also means if you want to go and connect to the Guru, you want to earn the blessings, you see another saint, another Gursik being blessed by the Guru. The Gurus, you might say, well, Guru Sahib, you're blessing them. Why don't you bless me? Sab suhagan marna raliyan, ek devo raat marari. You bless all of them, but why don't you bless me? Guru Sahib says, go and serve the saints, go and spend time with the Gursikhs. Go and learn from them, then you'll become their level. And then come talk to me. Fir aake mere na dasan das karije. Become the slave of the slaves. Now you can't just wear a suit and tie and stand in front of everybody saying, I'm the biggest great Gursikh in the world and you can't tell me what to do. That doesn't make you a great Gursikh. The great Gursikh, the heritage is by becoming the lowest of the low. And then the Guru makes you the highest of the high. The Guru will place you on the highest of the high. The Guru will place the crowns on top of your head. They will give you the greatest blessings on a worldly sense as well. But first become the lowest of the low. In the lowest of the low is where all the blessings are. Nicha andar neech jaat, nichi hu at neech. Becoming the lowest of the lowest. That's where Guru Sahib says, that's where I reside. And that's where you can become one with me. E prem di pashaya. So I would encourage, listen to the history and spend time do the physical seva of the Gurus. Now, one thing I always express as well, we do a lot of virtual seva, we do a lot of online, we say, we might make a web page or we organize things, but there's all those sevas are great that you do. But there's one aspect that you lose in doing physical seva with your own hands. When you actually clean those dirty dishes, when you actually clean the shoes of the Sangat, when you mop, when you clean the roads, there's a different blessing which you cannot get from doing the seva of you organize a fundraiser for the Gurdwara. I mean, that's a good seva as well. But cleaning the dishes, there's a blessing in that, a blessing that you will not receive anywhere else. So don't replace, even though Pai Nandalalji was the head kavi, they were the head of all of these places, they still clean the dirty dishes. Take that out of this history as well. Hawaye bandagi avurd dar vujud mara. Out of all of these things, I have no other desire. The only reason I came into this world is to do the bhakti of my Guru. And as a Sikh, that's the meaning of our life. That's what Sikhi is. To lose ourselves in that love. The bumblebee with the lotus flower. The firefly in the fire. We lose ourselves. So Khair Pyareo, I know while talking and while speaking, I've made many mistakes. If I've hurt anybody's heart, please don't take it against yourselves, and please forgive me for any mistakes that I've made. I know we want to spend the next 15-20 minutes doing questions, and I can see there's a few questions here as well. So feel free to type your questions or say your questions And that way, Maharaj di Kiripanal, we can do that. I'm just looking at the first question here, and it says, where can we find the detailed history to learn more and listen to them? I love to learn about our history by listening to these things that you suggest. So I don't mean to put in my plug, but we do put a lot of detailed history on our YouTube channel called Basics of Sikhi, talking about the different Gurbani Katha and the meanings of Gurbani in depth as well. So when you listen to the praises of the Guru and the Katha of the Guru, what ends up happening, you hear about this is what my Guru is, this is the value of my Guru. So you begin to fall in love with it. So Gurbani Katha is there, all Nityanem, Asadivar, lots of other Katha is there, myself and other people as well. They're in English and some in Punjabi as well for you to understand. So you can't make this excuse nowadays. Well, I don't understand Punjabi. I can't connect to Sikhi. No, you don't. There's that excuse doesn't work anymore. That's what we've been doing for the last 10 years. Because we've been hearing for 15 years ago. I heard the excuse of, well, I can't understand Punjabi, so that means I can't connect to Sikhi. Well, you know what? Fast forward 15 years later, no more excuses. And when it comes to history, I actually do live, detailed history of the life of Guru Nanak Dev Ji every Friday and Saturday on Zoom. So actually, I'm going to be doing it in a couple of hours. So you can find that link on Basics of Sikhi and on the Instagram page. What I'll do is I'll actually send it to Snehpal. I don't know how to get that link to you at the moment. But yeah, if somebody could find the Zoom link and maybe post it into the chat, it's the Sri Nanak Prakash. So if you go into the Instagram link tree, I'm sure you could find it there. If you could post it into the chat here. So I do the detailed history on Zoom Friday, Saturday. If you miss it, you can listen to it on SoundCloud because only the audio is put on SoundCloud. The video is not put on YouTube. So you can find the detailed history there. Any other questions, Bhai Sabji, you can ask me and read out.
Yeah, we have a couple of questions here in the Q&A panel. So, does Gurbani ask us to kill our desires, or is the purpose to just keep it in check? That is to say, are we to just not be consumed by our desires, or should we kill them completely?
First of all, see, a desire is not killed, right? I mean, there's a. This is going to turn into a full another lecture, a spiel, but I'll try to summarize it as much as I can. See, a desire is not killed if you forcefully try to put out a desire. Um, it doesn't work like that in our mind. What needs to happen is that the value of what we're desiring needs to be replaced with something else and see that value in the other thing. So therefore our desires are replaced. So the desire is replaced towards our love for our guru. So in a fact, I can understand where this question is coming from. We are becoming desireless when we have no other desire left. Your desires automatically get put into check. So just limiting and say I can kind of control my desire and I can keep it in check and stuff. I mean, depending on what type of desire we're talking about, if it's your love for kheer and jalebi and stuff like that, for sweets and chocolate, sure you can keep it in check. But I mean that connects to a deeper thing. If when we can't control our physical body, our tongue, and our eyes and our ears, we can't control our mind. So we need to control the physical sides as well in order to control our mind to be able to redirect it. So in essence, we are controlling and becoming desireless from the world because we have grown that one true desire, and that puts everything else in the world to almost become like dust and dirt. So it has no value in that sense. So it grows to that extent. Hanji.
Okay, yeah, and another question that kind of builds off of that one is, if the cause of dukh is desire, then the only way to get rid of dukh is to get rid of desire. But to live a household life, how can we do daily tasks and go to school without any sort of minuscule desire?
Yeah, that's a very good question. So see that in some way you were surrounded by desire, like I mentioned. This is what girhi mein udas. You're living in a household just like a lotus flower is living in a dirty pond. But the lotus flower is not affected by that dirt. It's not affected by that water. It's above that water. And there's even though there's filth and dirt around it, it can never be stained, the lotus flower. So that example is being used. You're living in this household, but There's you got a bank account, you got money coming in and out, you're buying things, you're doing this. So in that state, you're you're eating food, but then the desire, you're not chasing after that desire to such an extent that your mind controls in which way to direct that desire, in which way to should I eat this for lunch or should I eat that for lunch. So therefore the desire is not controlling your mind, you see. So your mind is in control of your five vices. So jitana is a word that's used inside of Gurbani to win over your vices, to put them in control and make them your slaves. What you don't want is your mind to be a slave of the vices, where your lust comes up in front, and your lust drives your mind crazy and makes you do things and act and do things in ways that you shouldn't, right? Which is against what your own philosophy is, and you might believe in it. That's why I'm saying Sikhi is not a belief system, right? There's actual spirituality in it. Your mind is making the five vices, anger, lust, desire, greed, ego, pride, it's making them slaves, and your mind is the king. But that becomes by strengthening your mind. So therefore in this household, you control, you're basically, you're living in a jungle, you're living completely desireless. In a household, if you get praised or slandered, it doesn't affect you. Your income grows or decreases, it doesn't affect you. As long as you're able to serve yourself, serve your family, serve more, and then when it comes time to leave anything, you let it go like it means nothing. Like, you say your car gets destroyed by hailstorm, right? Like we had last year here in Calgary. Your car crashes. I know people go insane because their favorite car is crashed, and then they're depressed for the next 10 years, right? So can you become desireless and let go of those? Can you let go in that way? This is what that Naam is trying to connect you to. It's trying to connect you where the world in itself, it doesn't even look the same way where it did before. Hanji.
Yeah, and that's very well put. So another question here is, Japji Sahib says Hukum Rajai Chalna, but how do we know what Hukum is? And if you could also just elaborate on the meaning of Hukum Rajai Chalna.
Yeah, so Hukum Razai Chalana is Guru Nanak Dev Ji's response to when the sadhus asked, what is the way to connect to God yet? Is it the way, should we not speak? Should we stop eating? Should we, what other ways should we do, right? Should we just take on a bunch of knowledge? Is that the way? Guru Sahib says, by doing all of these things, you won't attain the union with Paramatma. What you'll do is you'll gain knowledge, you'll grow pride, you become quiet, but your mind doesn't become quiet. You can clean your body as much as you want, but internally you haven't become clean. The way is, give sachiara hoye ke kuda tutta pal. How do you destroy this wall of falsehood? Hukum razai chalana nanak likhe naal, by living in the will and the raza of Akal Purkh. So to break this down, let's break it down. Hukum, raza, and pana. These are three terms that are used simultaneously. I've actually done a katha on this on YouTube. So you can search Hukum, Raza, Pana by Harman Singh on YouTube, and you'll find the video somewhere. It's about a 40-minute or an hour-long video. It's hard to explain right now in a summarized way. But to summarize it, Hukum, you can say, is the way things work. It's the law, it's the command that this is the way things work. Like being good. You know how, like, there's all these debates between theists and atheists about what is good and what is not good, and I'm a person that like listens to well, in the field that I am in, I have to be indulged in that, and sometimes it makes me go insane as well. Like, what are these guys arguing about? So basically, for example, if I say I'm going to chase lust and greed my entire life, and I believe that's the way to attain God. Do you get it? But that's not the way God's hukum is. You can't chase after greed your entire life and expect to become desireless. Like, it just doesn't work that way. The rules, who sets the rules? That's God's command. That's the hukum. That, this is up and this is down, this is left, this is right, and so forth. The physics and the rules and all that kind of stuff that comes in part of that. So the command of Akal Purkh and the way, this is the way it works. Hukum and raza is to be able to live according to that will of God. The Guru does this. So in a grand scale, not only like on an individual scale, but like out of in all of creation, and then on an individual scale as well. What's the command for you in this lifetime that's happening right now? So there's that aspect as well. So you living in that along in that grace or in that will of God. That's what raza is. Odi raza vich rehna, living in the will of that of the Creator, or in the Guru's command. So therefore, the Guru, this is happening in life, and you go according. The Guru says Nam Jap, and you do that. The Guru says, wake up and do your name, so you go and do that. And so therefore, you're living in that raza and that pana, and losing your ego by not listening to your mind, instead of listening to your Guru. Right? If you say, I want to do this, but no, you put your ego away, listen to the Guru, then you're living in the raza. And pana is jo ho reha, this raza that's happening, the way I'm following it, it's pleasing to me as well. And I'm doing what's pleasing to my Guru. Pana mean pa gaya. It's pleasing to my mind. It's not like, oh, the Guru says, oh my God, I have to do it again. It's like your teacher says, do this homework, and you're like, oh, I have to do it again. But that's not how it is at all. It's pleasing. This path is of love. The more you live in raza, the more you live in this pana, it becomes like ecstasy. It becomes like bliss. Instead, you don't want to go out of the raza because you see that as pain now. You see that as dukh, right? So in this way, you're following that path, and it becomes bliss. And when you're getting that taste of that bliss, you chase after it even more. So it becomes a positive chase, positive chase, and the world, you get detached from it in this way. So that's a brief summary of Hukum Raza Pana, but you can listen to the full video of that, living in the will of Akal Purkh and the Guru.
Yeah, and we have another question here in the chat. This is a bit more of a personal one. When did you start your adventure of learning Sikhi?
Um, Maharaj Di Kirpa, with Guru's grace, I was born into a Gursikh family. My father and my grandfather had been learning Sikhi and practicing Sikhi their entire life, and so I was taught from birth. And growing up in a Gursikh household, going to Sangat, learning from my father and many other saints and scholars and teachers, and I mean, I went to high school and university and did my degree and all that kind of. So I was exposed to everything else. Don't just think I was like living in like some sort of you know external Sikhi training center out in the jungle somewhere. As much as I would have loved that, to be honest, if now think back to it, if that was the case, that would have been amazing. But unfortunately, I wasn't that blessed either. So I had to do high school. I had to do my English essays that everybody didn't like to do, and learn my onomatopoeias and personifications and all that kind of stuff. So ਉਹ ਜਿਹੜੀਆਂ ਸਾਰੀਆਂ ਗੱਲਾਂ ਸੀਗੀਆਂ, I was blessed to be able to do Sangat and then learn. I was always intrigued because language was not a barrier for me, because I learned Punjabi and Hindi and all these languages first, and then I learned English after I went to obviously grade 1 and 2. You learn your ABCs anyways, A for apple, B for Bob. That's not that hard to learn, especially when you're young at that age. So, being having the ability to be exposed to different languages, and we had a lot of saints coming over to our house. I was able to learn in that way, and that's how my Sikhi progressed. I just kept on learning ever since. And so when I was, at the age of like 14, 15, we had, with Guru's grace, Guru Granth Sahib Ji's Santhya pronunciation, learned the meanings, all that kind of stuff, already learned out. And then I was able to learn more advanced texts in order to help understand Gurbani and move more into historical texts, and on and on and on. So, and then the learning never ends. You ask me, do I know a lot? I'll tell you, I'll say, I know nothing. You ask the scholars or the saints that I spend time with, and you go to them and say, oh, Harman Singh knows a lot. And they'll be like, Harman Singh knows a lot? He knows nothing. He's a kid, right? So that's the world I live in.
That's nice. Yeah. And another question we have here is, are there any rules you follow to identify that this is human versus this is something that I have to fight against?
Sorry, I didn't understand the question. Could
I
you
think
repeat?
I think as in this is just human error versus I should actually be actively fighting against this error that I am making.
Um, okay, so an error in the sense, like, I'm just gonna say, like, let's just say indulging in anger, something like that, right? Let's just say you got angry. Um, so see, there's a teaching. First of all, without, you need the guidance to know that is this a human error or is this something that you can do this. First of all, like a human error might be like, you're carrying the doll and you slipped and you accidentally dropped the pot. Like, sure, you can be more careful to you don't step over the Lego when you slip and fall, whatever. But that it is what it is, right? But see, when it comes to your mind, there's always ways to discipline it, and that's where the guru guides you, is that anger, vice, greed, and these vikars, you have the ability. So anger in itself, yes, it's a human trait, and you can get angry and all that kind of stuff. That's why you don't beat yourself up over it. Mistakes happen. Everybody has mistakes. But you can still guide your mind and discipline your mind to be able to work upon that. Anger grows from when you have a desire and the desire is left unfulfilled, and your ego is hurt by that unfulfilled desire, then anger comes up. So I know that you can look into the depth of what I just said, but in a gist, those are the fundamental rules. An unfulfilled desire that's left, and your ego is hurt by it. That's where anger is born from. And when your anger is born, it takes over your mind, where your mind is not able to think straight, and your intellect is destroyed. And when your intellect is destroyed, you can say your entire life is destroyed. That's why you say things that you never would ever think of wanting to say, and then your wife will be like, "Oh, this is what you've really been thinking for the last 20 years," and then you say no, and then she adds more, and you add more fire, and just a downward spiral from there. So, therefore, that all that kind of stuff can be tamed. ਜੇ ਵਿਕਾਰਾਂ ਦੇ ਹਿਸਾਬ ਨਾਲ ਹੋਵੇ, ਗੁਰੂ ਤੋਂ ਸਿੱਖਿਆ ਲਓ, learn from the guru, and you learn more about your mind and your body that way.
Yeah, sorry. I just realized that was actually a typo. What they meant to say is, do you have any rules to identify that this is hukum versus something that I should fight against?
Uh, I mean, you'd have to give me like a specific example to work around that.
I
So
mean, I
if
guess in your day-to-day life, how do you go about your daily activities and think, I'm just following hukum here, but then, you have to solve some kind of problem at work or something, and then
okay,
how
got it.
how do you know when to differentiate?
Okay, so ਇਹ ਗੱਲ ਹੈ. So in that sense, this is what I'll say, that see, for living in the raza and hukum does not mean becoming effortless. Right? I know this is a constant debate between this. I've done videos on this as well. Hukum versus free will. You can watch that video as well on YouTube. It's about another 40-minute video that you can listen to. But I go into the quite depth of how your actions and your karam work differently than your true form. Your actions are done through your egotistical lens, um, and they're attached. Your actions, your karams, you can say karma, they're attached to your ego, right? And that's when you leave your physical body, your astral body it still has those karams, and your home may be attached to it because it's still an identity. But let's say you're at work and there's something happening, your action, you're still taking action based on the guru's teachings, and you make that action, and the fruit of that action, whether good or bad, is going to come back into your account, and you're going to be blessed with another scenario based off of that, whether it's a good fruit or a bad fruit. In that way, so you want to continue making good karma for yourself, and in that process, live in the will of God, that this process is happening of my actions, of whatever the reaction. Like, don't you can't react to it. You can control your reaction, but whatever's happening around you, and that you live in the will of that God, and how you react to it, that would be something that you're taming your mind, and you would be, I guess, fighting. It's not really fighting the world; it's fighting yourself. And in that situation, trying to do the best that you can in a righteous way, in a just way, in a morally good way, etc., etc. Hopefully, that I
Okay.
think that's what you were talking about.
Yeah, yeah. Thank you. And unfortunately, that's all the time we have for questions today. But I'd like to thank you, Paji, for taking the time out of your busy schedule to speak with us this evening. And I also ask that everyone please stick around because we will be playing a Rara Sahib recording by Pai Hardeep Singh. And so, Vaheguru Ji Ka Khalsa, Vaheguru Ji Ki Fateh.
I'd also like to add, right, if you guys do have more questions, with Guru Sahib's grace, we do this on a full-time basis just for the Sangat's, sahulat. Join us on the Friday, Saturday live Zoom sessions. We do a Q&A after that. If you want to get in touch, and we can have further conversations there, and other events as well. So you can connect with me even after this talk, even though it is samapti. I know it's limited time. And ਹੁਣ ਰਹਿਰਾ ਸਾਹਿਬ ਦਾ ਵੇਲਾ ਹੋ ਗਿਆ over there in Ottawa. And so, ਇੰਨੀਆਂ ਗਲਤ ਭੁੱਲਾਂ ਚੁੱਕਾਂ ਦੀ ਖਿਮਾ, if I said anything wrong, please forgive me. ਇੰਨੀਆਂ ਬੇਨਤੀਆਂ ਪ੍ਰਵਾਨ ਕਰਨੀਆਂ। ਵਾਹਿਗੁਰੂ ਜੀ ਕਾ ਖਾਲਸਾ।
ਵਾਹਿਗੁਰੂ ਜੀ ਕੀ ਫਤਿਹ।
ਸਤਨਾਮ ਸ੍ਰੀ ਵਾਹਿਗੁਰੂ ਸਾਹਿਬ ਜੀ, ਹਰ ਜੁਗ ਜੁਗ ਭਗਤ ਉਪਾਇਆ, ਪੈਜ ਰਖਦਾ ਆਇਆ ਰਾਮ ਰਾਜੇ, ਹਰ ਨਾਕਸ ਦੁਸ਼ਟ ਹਰ ਮਾਰਿਆ, ਪ੍ਰਹਿਲਾਦ ਤਰਾਇਆ। ਅਹੰਕਾਰੀਆਂ ਨਿੰਦਕਾਂ ਪਿੱਠ ਦੇ, ਨਾਮ ਦਿਓ ਮੁਖ ਲਾਇਆ। ਜਨ ਨਾਨਕ ਐਸਾ ਹਰ ਸੇਵਿਆ, ਅੰਤ ਲਏ ਚਰਾਇਆ। ਇੱਕ ਓੰਕਾਰ ਸਤਿਗੁਰ ਪ੍ਰਸਾਦ, ਸਲੋਕ ਮਹੱਲਾ ਪਹਿਲਾ। ਦੁਖ ਦਾਰੂ ਸੁਖ ਰੋਗ ਭਇਆ, ਜਾ ਸੁਖ ਤਾਮ ਨਾ ਹੋਈ। ਤੂੰ ਕਰਤਾ ਕਰਣਾ ਮੈਂ ਨਾਹੀ, ਜਾਹੋ ਕਰੀ ਨ ਹੋਈ। ਬਲਿਹਾਰੀ ਕੁਦਰਤ ਵਸਿਆ, ਤੇਰਾ ਅੰਤ ਨ ਜਾਈ ਲਖਿਆ। ਰਹਾਉ ਜਾਤ ਮਹਿ ਜੋਤ, ਜੋਤ ਮਹਿ ਜਾਤਾ, ਅਕਲ ਕਲਾ ਭਰਪੂਰ ਰਹਿਆ। ਤੂੰ ਸੱਚਾ ਸਾਹਿਬ ਸਿਫਤ ਸਵਾਲਿਓ, ਜਿਨ ਕੀਤੀ ਸੋ ਪਾਰ ਪਿਆ। ਕਹੋ ਨਾਨਕ ਕਰਤੇ ਕੀਆਂ ਬਾਤਾਂ, ਜੋ ਕਿਛ ਕਰਨਾ ਸੋ ਕਰ ਰਹਿਆ। ਸੋ ਦਰ ਰਾਗ ਆਸਾ ਮਹੱਲਾ ਪਹਿਲਾ। ਇੱਕ ਓੰਕਾਰ ਸਤਿਗੁਰ ਪ੍ਰਸਾਦ। ਸੋ ਦਰ ਤੇਰਾ ਕਿਹਾ ਸੋ ਘਰ ਕਿਹਾ, ਜਿਤ ਬਹਿ ਸਰਬ ਸਮਾਲੇ। ਬਾਜੇ ਤੇਰੇ ਨਾਦ ਅਨੇਕ ਅਸੰਖਾ, केते तेरे वावन हारे। केते तेरे राग परीसियों कहिए, केते तेरे गावन हारे। गावने तुदनो पावन पानी बैसंतर, गावे राजा धर्म द्वारे। गावन तुदनो चित गुप्त, लिख जानन लिख लिख धर्म विचारे। गावन तुदनो ईश्वर ब्रह्मा देवी, सोहन तेरे सदा सवारे। गावन तुदनो इंद्र इंद्रासन बैठे, देवतियां दर नाले। गावन तुदनो सिद्ध समाधि अंदर, गावन तुदनो साध विचारे। गावन तुदनो जति सती संतोखी, गावन तुदनो वीर करारे। गावन तुदनो पंडित पढ़न रखी सुर, जुग जुग वेदा नाले। गावन तुदनो मोहनिया मन मोहन, सुरग मच्छ प्याले। गावन तुदनो रत्न उपाए तेरे, 68 तीर्थ नाले। गावन तुदनो जोध महाबल सूरा, गावन तुदनो खानी चारे। ਗਾਵਨ ਤੁਧਨੋ ਖੰਡ ਮੰਡਲ ਬ੍ਰਹਮੰਡਾ ਕਰ ਕਰ ਰੱਖੇ ਤੇਰੇ ਤਾਰੇ ਸਈ ਤੁਧਨੋ ਗਾਵਨ ਜੋ ਤੁਧ ਭਾਵਨ ਰਤੇ ਤੇਰੇ ਭਗਤ ਰਸਾਲੇ ਹੋਰ ਕੀਤੇ ਤੁਧਨੋ ਗਾਵਨ ਸੇ ਮੈਂ ਚਿਤ ਨ ਆਵਨ ਨਾਨਕ ਕਿਆ ਵਿਚਾਰੇ ਸੋਈ ਸੋਈ ਸਦਾ ਸਚ ਸਾਹਿਬ ਸਾਚਾ ਸਾਚੀ ਨਾਈ ਹੈ ਪੀ ਹੋਸੀ ਜਾਏ ਨ ਜਾਸੀ ਰਚਨਾ ਜਿਨ ਰਚਾਈ ਰੰਗੀ ਰੰਗੀ ਭਾਤੀ ਕਰ ਕਰ ਜਿਨਸੀ ਮਾਇਆ ਜਿਨ ਉਪਾਈ ਕਰ ਕਰ ਦੇਖੈ ਕੀਤਾ ਆਪਣਾ ਜਿਉ ਤਿਸ ਦੀ ਵਡਿਆਈ ਜੋ ਤਿਸ ਭਾਵੈ ਸੋਈ ਕਰਸੀ ਫਿਰ ਹੁਕਮ ਨ ਕਰਨਾ ਜਾਈ ਸੋ ਪਾਤ ਸਾਹੋ ਸਾਹਾ ਪਤ ਸਾਹਿਬ ਨਾਨਕ ਰਹਿਣ ਰਜਾਈ ਆਸਾ ਮਹੱਲਾ ਪਹਿਲਾ ਸੁਣ ਵੱਡਾ ਆਖੇ ਸਭ ਕੋਏ ਕੇਵਡ ਵੱਡਾ ਡੀਠਾ ਹੋਏ ਕੀਮਤ ਪਾਏ ਨ ਕਹਿਆ ਜਾਏ ਕਹਿਣੇ ਵਾਲੇ ਤੇਰੇ ਰਹੇ ਸਮਾਏ ਵੱਡੇ ਮੇਰੇ ਸਾਹਿਬਾ ਗਹਿਰ ਗੰਭੀਰਾ ਗੁਣੀ ਗਹੀਰਾ ਕੋਏ ਨ ਜਾਣੇ ਤੇਰਾ ਕੇਤਾ ਕੇਵਡ ਚੀਰਾ ਰਹਾਉ ਸਭ ਸੁਰਤੀ ਮਿਲ ਸੁਰਤ ਕਮਾਈ ਸਭ ਕੀਮਤ ਮਿਲ ਕੀਮਤ ਪਾਈ ਗਿਆਨੀ ਧਿਆਨੀ ਗੁਰ ਗੁਰਹਾਈ ਕਹਿਣ ਨ ਜਾਈ ਤੇਰੀ ਤਿਲ ਵਡਿਆਈ ਸਭ ਸਤ ਸਭ ਤਪ ਸਭ ਚੰਗਿਆਈਆਂ ਸਿੱਧਾ ਪੁਰਖਾਂ ਕੀਆਂ ਵਡਿਆਈਆਂ ਤੁਧ ਬਿਨ ਸਿਧੀ ਕਿਨੈ ਨ ਪਾਇਆ ਕਰਮ ਮਿਲੈ ਨਾਹੀ ਠਾਕ ਰਹਾਇਆ ਆਖਣ ਵਾਲਾ ਕਿਆ ਵਿਚਾਰਾ ਸਿਫਤੀ ਪਰੇ ਤੇਰੇ ਭੰਡਾਰਾ ਜਿਸ ਤੂੰ ਦੇ ਤਿਸੈ ਕਿਆ ਚਾਰਾ ਨਾਨਕ ਸੱਚ ਸਵਾਰਨ ਹਾਰਾ ਆਸਾ ਮਹੱਲਾ ਪਹਿਲਾ ਆਖਾਂ ਜੀਵਾ ਵਿਸਰੇ ਮਰ ਜਾਓ ਆਖਣ ਔਖਾ ਸਾਚਾ ਨਾਮ ਸਾਚੇ ਨਾਮ ਕੀ ਲਾਗੇ ਭੂਖ ਉਤ ਭੂਖੈ ਖਾਏ ਚਲਿਏ ਦੁਖ ਸੋ ਕਿਉ ਵਿਸਰੇ ਮੇਰੀ ਮਾਏ ਸਾਚਾ ਸਾਹਿਬ ਸਾਚੇ ਨਾਏ ਰਹਾਉ ਸਾਚੇ ਨਾਮ ਕੀ ਤਿਲ ਵਡਿਆਈ ਆਖ ਥਕੇ ਕੀਮਤ ਨਹੀਂ ਪਾਈ ਜੇ ਸਭ ਮਿਲ ਕੇ ਆਖਣ ਪਾਹੇ ਵੱਡਾ ਨ ਹੋਵੇ ਕਾਟ ਨ ਜਾਏ ਨਾ ਉਹ ਮਰੇ ਨ ਹੋਵੇ ਸੋਗ ਦੇਦਾ ਰਹੇ ਨ ਚੁਕੇ ਭੋਗ ਗੁਣ ਇਹੋ ਹੋਰ ਨਾਹੀ ਕੋਏ ਨਾ ਕੋ ਹੋਆ ਨਾ ਕੋ ਹੋਏ ਜੇ ਵਡ ਆਪ ਤੇ ਵਡ ਤੇਰੀ ਦਾਤ ਜਿਨ ਦਿਨ ਕਰਕੇ ਕੀਤੀ ਰਾਤ ਖਸਮ ਵਿਸਾਰੇ ਤੇ ਕਮ ਜਾਤ, ਨਾਨਕ ਨਾਵੇ ਬਾਜ ਸਨਾਤ। ਰਾਗ ਗੂਜਰੀ ਮਹੱਲਾ ਚੌਥਾ। ਹਰ ਕੇ ਜਨ ਸਤਿਗੁਰ ਸਤਿਪੁਰਖਾ, ਬਿਨੋ ਕਰੋ ਗੁਰ ਪਾਸ। ਹਮ ਕੀਰੇ ਕਿਰਮ ਸਤਿਗੁਰ ਸਰਨਾਈ, ਕਰ ਦਇਆ ਨਾਮ ਪਰਗਾਸ। ਮੇਰੇ ਮੀਤ ਗੁਰਦੇਵ, ਮੋਹ ਕਉ ਰਾਮ ਨਾਮ ਪਰਗਾਸ। ਗੁਰਮਤਿ ਨਾਮ ਮੇਰਾ ਪ੍ਰਾਣ ਸਖਾਈ, ਹਰ ਕੀਰਤ ਹਮਰੀ ਰਹਿ ਰਾਸ। ਰਹਾਉ ਹਰ ਜਨ ਕੇ ਵਡ ਭਾਗ ਵਡੇਰੇ, ਜਿਨ ਹਰ ਹਰ ਸਰਦਾ ਹਰ ਪਿਆਸ। ਹਰ ਹਰ ਨਾਮ ਮਿਲੇ ਤ੍ਰਿਪਤਾਸ ਹੈ, ਮਿਲ ਸੰਗਤ ਗੁਣ ਪਰਗਾਸ। ਜਿਨ ਹਰ 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 ਰਸ ਨਾਮ ਨ ਪਾਇਆ, ਤੇ ਭਾਗਹੀਣ ਜਮ ਪਾਸ। ਜੋ ਸਤਿਗੁਰ ਸਰਣ ਸੰਗਤ ਨਹੀਂ ਆਏ, ਤ੍ਰਿਗ ਜੀਵੈ ਤ੍ਰਿਗ ਜੀਵਾਸ। ਜਿਨ ਹਰ ਜਨ ਸਤਿਗੁਰ ਸੰਗਤ ਪਾਈ, ਤਿਨ ਧੁਰ ਮਸਤਕ ਲਿਖਿਆ ਲਖਾਸ। ਤਨ ਤਨ ਸਤ ਸੰਗਤ ਜਿਤ ਹਰ ਰਸ ਪਾਇਆ, ਮਿਲ ਜਨ ਨਾਨਕ ਨਾਮ ਪਰਗਾਸ। ਰਾਗ ਗੂਜਰੀ ਮਹੱਲਾ ਪੰਜਵਾ। ਕਾਹੇ ਰੇ ਮਨ ਚਿਤ ਵਹਿ ਉਦਮ, ਜਾ ਆਹਰ ਹਰ ਜਿਉ ਪਰਿਆ। ਸੈਲ ਪੱਥਰ ਮਹਿ ਜੰਤ ਉਪਾਏ, ਤਾਂ ਕਾ ਰਿਜਕ ਆਗੇ ਕਰ ਧਰਿਆ। ਮੇਰੇ ਮਾਧੋ ਜੀ ਸਤ ਸੰਗਤ ਮਿਲੇ ਸੋ ਤਰਿਆ, ਗੁਰ ਪ੍ਰਸਾਦ ਪਰਮ ਪਦ ਪਾਇਆ। ਸੂਕੇ ਕਾਸਟ ਹਰਿਆ। ਰਹਾਉ ਜਨਨ ਪਿਤਾ ਲੋਕ ਸੁਤ ਬਨਤਾ, ਕੋਇ ਨ ਕਿਸ ਕੀ ਤਰਿਆ। ਸਿਰ ਸਿਰ ਰਿਜਕ ਸੰਭਾਹੇ ਠਾਕੁਰ, ਕਾਹੇ ਮਨ ਪਉ ਕਰਿਆ। ਊਡੇ ਊੜੇ ਆਵੇ ਸੇ ਕੋਸਾ, ਤਿਸੁ ਪਾਛੇ ਬਚਰੇ ਛਰਿਆ। ਤਿਨ ਕਵਣ ਖਲਾਵੇ ਕਵਣ ਜੁਗਾਵੇ, ਮਨ ਮਹਿ ਸਿਮਰਨ ਕਰਿਆ। ਸਭ ਨਿਦਾਨ ਦਸ ਅਸਟ ਸਿਦਾਨ, ਠਾਕੁਰ ਕਰ ਤਲ ਤਰਿਆ। ਜਨ ਨਾਨਕ ਬਲ ਬਲ ਸਦ ਬਲ ਜਾਈਏ, ਤੇਰਾ ਅੰਤ ਨ ਪਾਰਾ ਵਰਿਆ। ਰਾਗ ਆਸਾ ਮਹੱਲਾ ਚੌਥਾ। ਸੋ ਪੁਰਖ ਇਕ ਓੰਕਾਰ, ਸਤਿਗੁਰ ਪ੍ਰਸਾਦ। ਸੋ ਪੁਰਖ ਨਿਰੰਜਨ ਹਰ ਪੁਰਖ ਨਿਰੰਜਨ, ਹਰਿ ਅਗਮਾ ਅਗਮ ਅਪਾਰਾ। ਸਭ ਤੇ ਆਵਹਿ ਸਭ ਤੇ ਆਵਹਿ ਤੁਧ ਜੀ, ਹਰ ਸੱਚੇ ਸਿਰਜਣਹਾਰਾ। ਸਭ ਜੀਅ ਤੁਮਾਰੇ ਜੀ, ਤੁਮ ਜੀਆਂ ਕਾ ਦਾਤਾਰਾ। ਹਰ ਤਿਆਵਹੁ ਸੰਤ ਹੋ ਜੀ, ਸਭ ਦੁਖ ਵਿਸਾਰਣਹਾਰਾ। ਹਰਿ ਆਪੇ ਠਾਕੁਰ ਹਰਿ ਆਪੇ ਸੇਵਕ ਜੀ, ਕਿਆ ਨਾਨਕ ਜੰਤ ਵਿਚਾਰਾ। ਤੂੰ ਘਟ ਘਟ ਅੰਤਰ ਸਰਬ ਨਿਰੰਤਰ ਜੀ, ਹਰ ਏਕੋ ਪੁਰਖ ਸਮਾਣਾ। ਇੱਕ ਦਾਤੇ ਇੱਕ ਭੇਖਾਰੀ ਜੀ, ਸਭ ਤੇਰੇ ਚੋਜ ਵਿਡਾਣਾ। ਤੂੰ ਆਪੇ ਦਾਤਾ ਆਪੇ ਭੁਗਤਾ ਜੀ, ਹਉ ਤੁਧ ਬਿਨ ਅਵਰ ਨ ਜਾਣਾ। ਤੂੰ ਪਾਰ ਬ੍ਰਹਮ ਬੇਅੰਤ ਬੇਅੰਤ ਜੀ, ਤੇਰੇ ਕਿਆ ਗੁਣ ਆਖ ਵਖਾਣਾ। ਜੋ ਸੇਵਹਿ ਤੁਧ ਜੀ, ਜਨ ਨਾਨਕ ਤਿਨ ਕੁਰਬਾਣਾ। ਹਰ ਧਿਆਵਹਿ ਤੁਧ ਜੀ, ਸੇ ਜਨ ਜੁਗ ਮਹਿ ਸੁਖ ਵਾਸੀ। ਸੇ ਮੁਕਤ ਪਏ, ਜਿਨ ਹਰ ਧਿਆਇਆ ਜੀ, ਤਿਨ ਟੂਟੀ ਜਮ ਕੀ ਪਾਸੀ। ਜਿਨ ਹਰ ਨਿਰਭਉ ਧਿਆਇਆ ਜੀ, ਤਿਨ ਕਾ ਭਉ ਸਭ ਗਵਾਸੀ। ਜਿਨ ਸੇਵਿਆ ਮੇਰਾ ਹਰ ਜੀ, ਤੇ ਹਰ ਹਰ ਰੂਪ ਸਮਾਸੀ। ਸੇ ਤਨ ਜਿਨ ਹਰ ਧਿਆਇਆ ਜੀ, ਜਨ ਨਾਨਕ ਤਿਨ ਬਲ ਜਾਸੀ। ਤੇਰੀ ਭਗਤ ਭੰਡਾਰ ਜੀ, ਪਰੇ ਬੇਅੰਤ ਬੇਅੰਤਾ। ਤੇਰੇ ਭਗਤ ਸਲਾਹਨ ਤੁਧ ਜੀ, ਹਰੇ ਅਨੇਕ ਅਨੇਕ ਅਨੰਤਾ। ਤੇਰੀ ਅਨਕ ਕਰਹਿ ਹਰ ਪੂਜਾ ਜੀ, ਤਪ ਹੈ ਜਪ ਹੈ ਬੇਅੰਤਾ। ਤੇਰੇ ਅਨੇਕ ਪੜ੍ਹੇ ਬਹੁ ਸਿਮਰਤ ਸਾਸਤ ਜੀ, ਕਰ ਕਿਰਿਆ ਖਟ ਕਰਮ ਕਰੰਤਾ। ਸੇ ਭਗਤ ਭਲੇ ਜਨ ਨਾਨਕ ਜੀ, ਜੋ ਭਾਵਹਿ ਮੇਰੇ ਹਰ ਭਗਵੰਤਾ। ਤੂੰ ਆਦ ਪੁਰਖ ਅਪਰੰਪਰ ਕਰਤਾ ਜੀ, ਤੁਧ ਜੇ ਵਡ ਅਵਰ ਨ ਕੋਈ। ਤੂੰ ਜੁਗ ਜੁਗ ਏਕੋ ਸਦਾ ਸਦਾ, ਤੂੰ ਏਕੋ ਜੀ, ਤੂੰ ਨਹਿ ਚਲ ਕਰਤਾ ਸੋਈ। ਤੁਧ ਆਪੇ ਭਾਵੇ ਸੋਈ ਵਰਤੇ ਜੀ, ਤੂੰ ਆਪੇ ਕਰਹਿ ਸੋਈ। ਤੁਧ ਆਪੇ ਸ੍ਰਿਸ਼ਟ ਸਭ ਉਪਾਈ ਜੀ, ਤੁਧ ਆਪੇ ਸਿਰਜ ਸਭ ਗੋਈ। ਜਨ ਨਾਨਕ ਗੁਣ ਗਾਵੇ ਕਰਤੇ ਕੇ ਜੀ, ਜੋ ਸਭ ਸੇ ਕਾ ਜਾਣੋਈ। ਆਸਾ ਮਹੱਲਾ ਚੌਥਾ। ਤੂੰ ਕਰਤਾ ਸਚਿਆਰ ਮਹਿਡਾ ਸਾਈ, ਜੋ ਤੋ ਪਾਵੇ ਸੋਈ ਥੀਸੀ। ਜੋ ਤੂੰ ਦੇਹ ਸੋਈ ਹੋ ਪਾਈ। ਰਹਾਉ ਸਭ ਤੇਰੀ ਤੂੰ ਸਭਨੀ ਤੇ ਆਇਆ, ਜਿਸਨੂੰ ਕਿਰਪਾ ਕਰਹਿ ਤਿਨ ਨਾਮ ਰਤਨ ਪਾਇਆ। ਗੁਰਮੁਖ ਲਾਦਾ ਮਨ ਮੁਖ ਗਵਾਇਆ, ਤੁਧ ਆਪ ਵਿਛੋੜਿਆ ਆਪ ਮਿਲਾਇਆ। ਤੂੰ ਦਰਿਆਓ ਸਭ ਤੁਝ ਹੀ ਮਾਹੇ, ਤੁਝ ਬਿਨ ਦੂਜਾ ਕੋਈ ਨਾਹੀ। ਜੀਅ ਜੰਤ ਸਭ ਤੇਰਾ ਖੇਲ, ਵਿਜੋਗ ਮਿਲ ਵਿਛੜਿਆ ਸੰਜੋਗੀ ਮੇਲ। ਜਿਸਨੂੰ ਤੂੰ ਜਾਣਾ ਹੈ ਸੋਈ ਜਨ ਜਾਣੈ, ਹਰ ਗੁਣ ਸਦ ਹੀ ਆਖ ਵਖਾਣੈ। ਜਿਨ ਹਰ ਸੇਵਿਆ तिन सुख पाया, सहजे ही हर नाम समाया। तू आपे करता तेरा किया सब होए, तुध बिन दूजा अवर न कोय। तू कर कर वेख है जान है सोए, जन नानक गुरमुख परगट होए। आसा महला पहला, तित सरवरड़े पहले निवासा। पानी पावक तिन्हे किया, पंक जो मोह पग नहीं चाले। हम देखा देह डूबिया ने, मन एक न चेतिस मूड मना। हर बिसरत तेरे गुण गलया रहा। ना हो जति सती नहीं पड़या, मूर्ख मुगदा जन्म पहया। प्रणवत नानक तिनकी सरना, जिन तू नाही विसरया। आसा महला पंजवा, पई परापत मानुख दे हुरिया। गोबिंद मिलन की एह तेरी बरिया, अवर काज तेरे किते ना काम। मिल साध संगत भज केवल नाम। सरंजाम लाग भव जल तरन कै, जन्म वृथा जात रंग माया कै रहा। जप तप संजम धर्म न कमाया, सेवा साध न जानिया हर राया। कहो नानक हम नीच करम्मा, शरण परे की राखो शर्मा। जप तप संजम धर्म न कमाया, सेवा साध न जानिया हर राया। कहो नानक हम नीच करम्मा, शरण परे की राखो शर्मा। एक ओंकार, श्री वाहिगुरु जी की फतेह। पातशाही दसवीं चौपाई, उन राक्षस का काटा सीसा। श्री असकेत जगत के ईसा, पोहपन पृष्ठ गगन ते पही। सब हिन आन बधाई दई, तन तन लोगन के राजा। दुष्टन दाह गरीब निवाजा, अखल पवन के सिरजन हारे। दास जान मोहिले हो वारे, कभ्यो बाच बेनती चौपाई। हमरी करो हाथ ते रक्षा, पूर्ण होए चित्त की इच्छा। तब चरणन मन रहे हमारा, अपना जान करो प्रतपारा। हमरे दुष्ट सभे तुम कहबहो, आप हाथ दे मोहे बचावहो। सुखी बसे मोरो परवारा, सेवक सिख सबे करतारा। मोर अच्छा निज कर दे करिए, सब बैरन को आज संगरिए। पूर्ण होए हमारी आशा, तोर भजन की रहे प्यासा। तुम है चार कोई अवर न त्याऊं, जो बर चाहूं सो तुम ते पाऊं। सेवक सिख हमारे तारिय है, चुन चुन सतर हमारे मारिय है। आप हाथ दे मुझे उबरिए, मरण काल का त्रास निवारिय, हु जो सदा हमारे बच्चा, श्रीयस तुझ जू करियो रक्षा। राख ले हो मोहे राखन हारे, साहेब संत सहाय प्यारे। दीन बंद दुष्टन के हंता, तुम हो पुरी चतुर्दश कंता। काल पाए ब्रह्मा बपतरा, काल पाए शिव जू अवतरा। काल पाए कर विष्णु प्रकाशा, सकल काल का किया तमाशा। जवन काल जोगी शिव कियो, वेद राज ब्रह्मा जू थियो। जवन काल सब लोक सवारा, नमस्कार है ताहे हमारा। जवन काल सब जगत बनायो, देव दैत जिछन उपजायो। आदि अंत एक अवतारा, सोई गुरु समझियो हमारा। नमस्कार तिस ही को हमारी, सकल प्रजा जिन्हें आप सवारी। सेवकन को सब गुण सुख दियो, शत्रुन को पल मोह बद कियो। काट काट के अंतर की जानत, भले बुरे की पीर पछानत। चीटी ते कुंचुड़िया स्थूला, सब पर कृपा दृष्ट कर फूला। संतन दुख पाए ते दुखी, सुख पाए साधन के सुखी। एक एक की पीर पछाने, काट काट के पट पट की जाने। जब युद्ध करख करा कर तारा, प्रजा तरत तब देह अपारा। जब या करख करत हो कब हूँ, तुम मैं मिलत देह तर सब हूँ। जेते बदन शिष्ट सब तारे, आप आपनी बूझियो चारे। तुम सब ही ते रहत नरालम, जानत वेद भेद हर आलम। निरंकार निर्बकार निर्लंब, आदि अनिल अनादि असंभ। ताका मूढ़ चारत पैदा, जाको पैव न पावत बेदा। ताको कर पाहन अनुमानत, महामूढ़ कछु भेद न जानत। महादेव को कहत सदा शिव, निरंकार का चीनत नह पह। आप आपने बुध है जेती, बरनत पिन पिन तोह तेती। तुमरा लखा न जाए पसारा, कह बिद सजा प्रथम संसारा। एके रूप अनूप स्वरूपा, रंग पयो राव के भूपा। अंडज जेरज सेतज किन्नी, उत्पुज खान बहोर रज दीनी। कहूँ फूल राजा है बैठा, कहूँ समट पयो शंकर अकैठा। सिगरी सृष्टि दिखाए चंपव, आद जुगाद स्वरूप स्वयंपव। अब रक्षा मेरी तुम करो, सिखो बार असिख संघरो। दुष्ट जिते उठवाते उत्पाता, सकल मलेच करो रणगाता। जे अस तुझ तव सरनी परे, तिनके दुष्ट दुख होए मरे। पुरख जवन पग परे तिहारे, तिनके तुम संकट सब टारे। जो कल को एक बार ते है, ताके काल निकट नह है। रक्षा होए ताहे सब काला, दुष्ट अरिष्ट टरे तत्काला। कृपा दृष्ट तन जाहे निहरे हो, ताके ताप तनक में हरे हो। रिद्ध सिद्ध कर्मों सब होई, दुष्ट शास्त्र सके न कोई। एक बार जिन तुम्हें संबारा, काल फास ते ताहे उबारा। जिन नर नाम तिहारो कहा, दारिद दुष्ट दुख ते रहा। खड़ग केत में शरण तिहारी, आप हाथ दे लेहो उबारी। सर्व ठौर मोह हो सहाय, दुष्ट दुख ते लेहो बचाए। कृपा करी हम पर जग माता, ग्रंथ करा पूरन सुबराता। किल बिख सकल देह को हरता, दुष्ट दोखियन को क्षय करता। श्रेयस तुझ जब पहे दयाला, पूरन करा ग्रंथ तत्काला। मन बांछत फल पावे सोई, दुखन तिसे व्यापत कोई। आड़िल सुने गुंग जो यह सुरस ना पावे, सुने मूड चित लाए चतुरता आवे। दुख दर्द पो निकट न दिन नर के रहे, हो जोया कि एक बार चौपाई को कहे। चौपाई संबत 17 सहस पणिजय, अर्ध सहस फुन 3 कहिजय। भाद्रव सुदी अष्टमी रविवारा, तीरस तुद्रव ग्रंथ सुधारा। एत श्री चरित्रो पख्याने, त्रिया चरित्रे मंत्री भूप संवादे। 405 चरित्र समापत, मस्त शुभ मस्त आफजू दोहरा। दास जान कर दास पर, कीजय कृपा अपार। आप हाथ दे राख मोहे, मन क्रम बचन विचार। चौपाई मैं न गणेश है प्रथम मनाऊं, किसन बिसन कबहू नहीं त्याऊं। कान सुने पहचान न तिन सो, लिव लागी मोरी पगे न सो। महाकाल रखवार हमारो, महालोह मैं किंकर थारो। अपना जान करो रखवार, बाएंगे है की लाज विचार। अपना जान मुझे प्रत परिय, चुन चुन सत्र हमारे मरिय। देग तेग जग में दो चले, राख आप मोहे और न दले। तुम मम करहो सदा व्रत पारा, तुम साहिब मैं दास तिहारा। जाने आपना मुझे निवाज, आप करो हमारे सब काज। तुम हो सब राजन के राजा, आपे आप गरीब निवाजा। दास जान कर कृपा कर हो मोहे, हार परा में आन द्वार तो है। अपना जान करो प्रतपारा, तुम साहिब मैं किंकर थारा। दास जान दे हाथ उबारो, हमरे सब बैरियन संगारो। प्रथम तरो भगवत को त्याना, बहुर करो कविता विदनाना। कृष्ण जथा मत चरित्र उचारो, चूक होए कबले हो सुधारो। कबियो बाच दोहरा, जो निज प्रभु सो कहा, सो कहो जग माहे। जो तह प्रभु को ते आए हैं, अंत स्वर्ग को जाए। दोहरा हरे हरे जन दो एक है, बेब विचार कछना है। जल ते उपज तरंग जियो, जल ही बिखे समाए। दोहरा जब आयस प्रभ को पयो, जन्म तरा जग आए। अब मैं कथा संक्षेप ते, सब हूँ कहत सुनाए। कब बाच दोहरा, ठाड़ पयो मैं जोर कर, बचन कहाँ सिर न्याय। पंथ चले तब जगत में, जब तुम करहो सहाय। दोहरा जय जय तुमरे त्यान को, नित उठती हैं संत। अंत लहेंगे मुक्त फल, पावेंगे भगवंत। दोहरा काल पुरख की देह मोह, कोटक बिसन महेश। कोट इंद्र ब्रह्मा किते, रव सस करोर जलेस। दोहरा राम कथा जुग जुग अटल, सब कोई पाखत नेत। सुरगवास रघुबर करा, सगरी पुरी समेत। चौपाई जो यह कथा सुने और गावे, दुख पाप तह निकट न आवे। बिसन भगत की ए फल होई, आद ब्याद छुए सके न कोई। सम्मत 17 सहस 55, हाड़वदी प्रथम सुख दावन। त्वय प्रसाद कर ग्रंथ सुधारा, भूल परी लहो लेहो सुधारा। दोहरा नेत्र तुमके चरण तर, सतुद्रव तीर तरंग। श्री भगवत पूरन कियो, रघुबर कथा प्रसंग। दोहरा साध असाध जानो नहीं, बाद सुबाद विवाद। ग्रंथ सकल पूरन कियो, भगवत कृपा प्रसाद। सोइया पाएंगे जब ते तुमरे, तब ते कौ आँख तरे नहीं आन्यो। राम रहीम पुराण कुरान, अनेक कहे मत एक न मान्यो। सिमरत शास्त्र वेद सबे, बहु भेद कहे हम एक न जान्यो। श्री असपान कृपा तुमरी कर, मैं न कहो सब तोहे बखान्यो। दोहरा सगल द्वार को छाड़ के, गह्यो तुहारो द्वार। बाहेंगे की लाज अस, गोबिंद दास तुहार। सगल द्वार को छाड़ के, गह्यो तुहारो द्वार। बाहेंगे की लाज अस, गोबिंद दास तुहार। राम कली महला तीजा आनंद, एक ओंकार सतगुर प्रसाद। आनंद पया मेरी माए, सतगुरु में पाया। सतगुर ता पाया सहज सेती, मन वजिया बाधाया। राग रतन परवार परिया, शब्द गावण आया। शब्दो तगावो हरि केरा, मन जिनी बसाया। कहे नानक आनंद हुआ, सतगुरु में पाया। ए मन मेरेया तू सदा रहो हर नाले, हर नाल रहो तू मन मेरे। दुख सब विसारना, अंगीकार ओह करे तेरा। कारज सब सवारना, सबना गला समरथ स्वामी। सो क्यों मन हो विसारे, कहे नानक मन मेरे। सदा रहो हर नाले, साचे साहेबा क्या नाही कर तेरे। करता तेरे सब किछ है, जिस दह सो पावे। सदा सिफत सलाह तेरी, नाम मन वसावे। नाम जिन कै मन वसया, वाजे शब्द कन्हेरे। कहे नानक सच्चे साहिब, क्या नाही कर तेरे। साचा नाम मेरा आधारो, साच नाम आधार मेरा। जिन भुखा सब गवाइया, कर शांत सुख मन आए वसया। जिन इच्छा सब पुजाइया, सदा कुर्बान कीता गुरु विठहो। जिस दी आए वड्याइया, कहे नानक सुनो संत हो। शब्द तरहो प्यारो, साचा नाम मेरा आधारो। वाजे पंच शब्द तित कर सुभागे, कर सुभागे शब्द वाजे, कला जित कर तारिया। पंच दूत तुद वस कीते, काल कंटक मारिया। तुर कर्म पाया तुद जिन को, सिनाम हर के लागे। कहे नानक तेह सुख होआ, तित कर अनहद वाजे। आनंद सुनो वड भागी हो, सगल मनोरथ पूरे। पार ब्रह्म प्रभ पाया, उतरे सगल बिसूरे। दुख रोग संताप उतरे, सुनी सच्ची बाणी। संत साजन पए सरसे, पूरे गुर ते जानी। सुनते पुनीत कहते पवित, सतगुर रहया भरपूरे। बिनवंत नानक गुर चरण लागे, वाजे अनहद तूरे। सुनते पुनीत कहते पवित, सतगुर रहया भरपूरे। बिनवंत नानक गुर चरण लागे, वाजे अनहद तूरे। मुंदावणी महला पंजवा, थाल विच तिन वस्तु पयो। सत संतोख विचारो, अमृत नाम ठाकुर का पयो। जिसका सबस आधारो, जे को खावे जे को पुंजै, तिसका होए उधारो। एह वसत तजी नह जाई, नित नित रख उर तारो। तम संसार चरण लग तरिए, सब नानक ब्रह्म पसारो। सलोक महला पंजवा, तेरा कीता जातो नाही, मैनो जोग की तोई। मैं निर्गुण यारे को गुण नाही, आपे तरस पयोई। तरस पया मेहरामत होई, सतगुर सजन मिलया। नानक नाम मिले तां जीवा, तन मन थीवे हरिया। तरस पया मेहरामत होई, सतगुर सजन मिलया। नानक नाम मिले तां जीवा, तन मन थीवे हरिया। पौड़ी तिथे तू समरथ, जिथे कोई नाहे। ओथे तेरी रख अग्नि उदर माए। सुन के जम के दूत, नाए तेरे छड़ जाए। पौ जल बिखम असगाहो, गुर सबदी पार पाए। जिनको लगी प्यास, अमृत से खाए। कल मह एहो पुन, गुण गोविंद गाए। सब सैनो कृपाल, संभाले साहे साहे। बिरथा कोई न जाए, जे आवे तुद आहे। सलोक महला पंजवा, अंतर गुर आराधना। जिहवा जप गुर नाम, नेतरी सतगुर पैखਣਾ। श्रवणी सुनना गुर नाम। सतगुर सेती रत्या दरगह पाइए ठाओ। कहो नानक किरपा करे जिसनों एह वथ ते। जग में उत्तम काढ़िया है बिरले के। महला पंजवा रखे रखण हार आप उबारियन। गुर की पैरी पाए काज सवारियन। हो आप दयाल मन होना विसारियन। साध जना के संग पव जल तारियन। सागत निंदक दुष्ट खिन माहे बेदारियन। तिस साहिब की टेक नानक मने माहे। जिस सिमरत सुख होए सगले दुख जाए। तिस साहिब की टेक नानक मने माहे। जिस सिमरत सुख होए सगले दुख जाए। वाहिगुरु जी का खालसा वाहिगुरु जी की फतेह।